Hi, and welcome to Shhh the Talk Show. Did you know that when you watch the ads that pre-roll in completion before the episode, it helps us generate funding for our show? If you like what we do and you'd like to support us, please subscribe and share the channel with everyone you know. You can also continue learning about the subjects that we discuss by reading our column in the Sunday morning newspaper.
That social expectation of how a single mother should behave and what is appropriate for a single mother's image is completely different to what a single father gets away with.
All men are children.
Came from the man, not from us. Didn't
I am
say
drinking
any
water.
of it. But I want to know what it's like to date as a single parent.
Physical custody to be shared, you need to write down on a piece of paper every single time the custody moves from one parent to the other parent.
Do you think you and Dada would have been around if I wasn't there? Like, did I cause you two to separate?
Oh, wow. Hi, and welcome back to Shh the Talk Show. I have to thank Asylum, the bar and restaurant that's at Independence Square Arcade. They allowed us to use the space for the conversation today, and Asylum's a really, really nice place, right? It's a chilled vibe. It's open from 10 a.m. onwards. You have great food as well as great drinks, and it's a nice place to get together with your friends or your family and have the chats that we want you to have, right? And we thought, what better way to use a bar today than to talk about a topic that frankly scares me, like it scares the bejesus out of me personally, and that's parenting. When we sign up for parenting, usually we sign up, with the understanding that this is going to be two people doing this job. But not everything happens the way we plan, and sometimes we even become parents without the plan in place. And then we go into the journey of being a single parent. And I thought, look, everywhere else in the world, single parenting is not so much of a taboo, right? Single parents are almost a norm. So many people out there in Sri Lanka as well are single parents. But why is it that we don't talk about it? And to do that, we have two single parents who are here. There's Shamal.
Hello.
Thank you for being on the show with us. And there's Amrita,
Hi.
who's a fan of the show. So first of all, how old is your child? One child?
Yes, just the one son. He's 12 and a half now.
Okay, and how long have you been a single parent for?
8 years, 9 years.
So well done you, first of all. To
Yep,
do
I
it.
can't even grow a plant. So it's a miracle this child has survived this length of time. I got married very young. Again, it was due to, I think, family pressure. Because, being a woman, if you're like over 22 years old, you're already considered, a spinster.
Yeah, I'm a corpse.
So of course the family got involved, found somebody, and it was perfect. We looked good together. We seemed very happy, but I knew there was problems. And after we had the child, we realized, our personalities are so different, and it got to a point that my son was getting affected in school. So because he would hear all the arguments and the fights, and he would act up in school. Like every day, I would get calls saying, "You need to come in. Something's happened. You need to come in, your son's doing this." So I thought, what's the point dragging my child through this misery? He and I were at this point, we could tolerate each other for like maybe an hour at most, and then I was like, I can't deal with this. So we thought, why sham it? Let's just separate.
But now that you're separated, do you find that it's easier therefore, or is it more difficult?
It's easier in the sense that I can take decisions that I want to take with him without like having to explain myself. There are moments where it's harder, like especially now since he's growing up, and especially being a boy, I see that he emulates, other dads or other uncles, and I can't obviously provide the male figure. And despite what we think, like it's harder when you have a son, I think, for that aspect. But on the most part, he's extremely supportive, and considering all he has gone through, he's so understanding, and I think it forces them to grow up, which is easy for us as parents, but at the same time you feel sad because it's like, he's a 12-and-a-half-year-old kid. He should not have to carry those burdens. But
Yeah. So you're a single mom raising a son, and you're a single dad
Yes.
who has, I think, quite successfully raised a daughter.
Well, I've got two.
Oh.
So
Oh,
one,
wow. There
one
you
is
go.
12. He turns 12.
And one is like seated off camera,
Yes.
pretending she's reading a book and not listening to this.
She turns 18 this year.
wow.
And,
And
it's
how
been
long have you been?
7 years, I think,
Okay.
since we've been
So that's-
separated and divorced and so on, so similar times. My background is slightly different. I think we were both studying at the time, and we've known each other for a long time. This is my ex-wife and me. We had, again, family pressures to get married because we were traveling overseas to study.
Oh, okay.
In a conversation I remember in early days between me and my wife, ex-wife at the time, now, we may not have even gotten married if it was up to us and we had to fulfill, tick a box.
Yeah.
Therefore, you wouldn't look odd going out of the
Yeah.
country. The way I see it is that we both evolved differently. We've known each other since the age of 10. So it's a long time to know
Oh, okay.
a partner in your
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
And in time, we gradually evolved differently. And then when we came back to the country again, we both discovered that we were going in two different directions. We had Malla a little later on. He was born in 2008. Come 2009, 2010, I'm a workaholic, so I think
Yeah.
I'm partly to be blamed for that. I mean, both took blame for why it didn't get to where it should have in our own minds. But whatever's happened has happened, with no malice intended on either party. We moved on. And, well, I found it a little difficult, a hell of a lot difficult,
Yeah.
to be able to be faced with being just the individual, because we've known each other for so long in life. Okay, we've been married only for 18 years, I think, at the time when we divorced, but we've known each other since 10. So
Yeah.
your relative relationship is
So while the label changes, nothing else really
Yeah.
changes between the two of you. There's too
so
much history.
Too much in it. And
Yeah.
it's different phases of your life, right?
Yeah.
And different phases bring you to different stages of your life.
What were the biggest changes? What were the adjustments that you had to make?
To change from a man mind
Okay.
to that of a parent mind.
Yeah.
There were certain things that the woman would allow the man to do because
Yeah.
it was the man's job to do it. And
Yeah.
what happens then is that the men get spoiled a little bit and then they let go of it. It's very simple. I mean,
Boys, you listening out there, whoever?
it does, it happens. And then the hardest part is literally managing the two little ones along with work. As you kind of go into it, you begin to understand what your priorities are. And the moment you understand that pretty earlier on, life just becomes normal. Getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning is normal. Going to bed at 12 is normal. And I don't have any regrets. It's great fun with those guys. And we've grown together.
So how
I
did
can't
the
deal this.
custody thing and all work?
For us, it worked. Luckily, his parents, even now, are really, really fond of me. So they were like, whatever you want to do, if you want to be a single parent and take full custody, it's fine with us. We'll give us the sheet, we'll
How
sign
does it work in Sri Lanka? I think custody is
It's
in
dual.
favor of the mother, or
Yeah, it's usually in favor of the mother, but depends on the sex of the child or something, as far as I know.
did you have any experiences there?
So you have physical custody and legal custody. Physical custody meaning where you stay, where the children stay. Normally the law looks in the favor of their home,
Okay.
whatever it may be. And in this instance, home is where I lived, and the
The
separation.
stability of the child.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we chose to share both. But
Yeah.
then it became a hair-raising complicating, because physical custody to be shared, you need to write down on a piece of paper every single time the custody moves from one parent to the other parent, and vice versa. So the court needs to know every single time that happens, so which is ridiculous when your children are very little.
Yeah.
And I think they sometimes say you can have them on the weekends and then during the week. That
You-
was
But
Even-
that's not a plan that you all have to come up with? The
you
courts
can,
tell you? Or?
well, the judge, I mean, the lawyer would advise you sometimes, you can have, but for me, my son was going to school at that point. So I want, like you, I want full custody. I'm like legal or otherwise, kids coming to me, because obviously this man can't handle it. So, no offense. I'm sure man is very capable of doing it, but this man wasn't. So, and his parents were like, yes, if there's anything. So I actually got physical and legal custody.
Okay.
For me, the legal custody, as he was saying, is basically legal documents,
Yeah,
you know,
and-
anything. But they're also, unfortunately, in Sri Lanka, everything seems to be veered towards the father.
Oh,
Now,
the-
little things
okay.
like even to get his passport, I remember.
You have to get a
I had to
letter
get
of
a letter from
consent.
the father because a lot of the times the mothers would take off with the children.
And there's
And
a
I s-
kidnapped or whatever.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I remember for him, I got the letter even, and they were like, no, you have to bring him in person.
If you were sort of traveling with your kids, would you also have to get her to come and?
Yes.
Oh,
Not
okay. So
that
it's the
she-
same thing.
You don't, well, no,
I
it
don't
is
think they
not.
would
If it's a
harass as
father,
much
they
as
are,
the
if it's a
father.
mother going with the child, they ask the father to come. If the father goes with the children, they don't ask questions.
Really.
Yes.
When you become that single parent, right? Apart from the shifts that are happening in your personal world, your child's world, your child is suddenly identified if they're school going, suddenly they have this on their mind, right? That they don't have the conventional norm of a family unit at home and stuff like that. And did it become difficult for your children? Okay.
So, from my daughter's perspective, she buried herself in theatre. As a result, it helped her because, see, the important thing I understood is that they're little people. As I said at the beginning of this chat, they have emotions, they have opinions, they have certain phases in life that they go through. So, as parents, we tend to think we know that. The important thing for all of us, for the sanity of the family unit, the way we know it, is that unknowing to each other, we never spoke ill of each other to the kids.
How difficult was it for your son to adjust to the
He
fact
was-
that mom is single or that
He was
he's
surprisingly really easy.
Okay.
Because anyway, he was lucky in the sense that his father didn't get really involved as much into like
How
school
did you
stuff.
explain it to him, like the
I told
differences
him-
that were going to happen?
At that time, I just told him, look, you know, mommy and daddy love you, but we need to figure out what we need right now. It's nothing to do with you, but the both of us can't live together. But we love you, and you know, it's fine. We understand if you have any questions. And actually, I have to commend him. He actually sat down and when we had this conversation. At the time, my son was very small, so he was like, okay, you know. For him, he was like, oh, I have two
Adventure.
houses to go to.
Yeah.
I was like, can I spend time with the other Archie and Sia? And I'm like, yeah, okay, you can. He's like, then I'm fine.
Yeah.
So he was fine, but like for you, I didn't realize how much he was processing till much later.
Yeah.
Like about 3 years ago, sudden now, so many years after the divorce, he looked up to me and he asked me, do you think you and Dada would have been around if I wasn't there? And that really struck me. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, did I cause you two to separate?
Oh, wow. So
And
that's been playing on
it was,
his mind.
you know, and also boys, I think, tend not to talk about their emotions too much. They internalize a lot, and he thinks a lot. So suddenly when he came, I said, no, it's nothing to do with you. You actually brought us together, and if not for you, you know, we could have been in a much different state. It really helped that I had a really good network of friends and, you know, well-meaning people who actually helped me transition. So it was not like my son missed out, like, okay, you know, like there would be an uncle or a friend's father who'd step in and do the daddy stuff, you know, like roughhouse him and play with him. So then he got that whole, let's play rugby and soccer, whereas I was like, really? Like, I'll play with you for like 15 minutes and I'm done. Like, you know, I didn't like sports in school, so this is like a whole new ball game.
What we tried to do was be as honest and open as possible with each other. From attaining age, puberty, to boyfriends, to making decisions, to dealing with your cycle every month, and then having to see gynecologists and so
I
on.
think she wants to die right there. No? You're okay?
She's fine.
Yeah. Very good.
It's a two-way street.
Because if my dad was talking about this, I'd want to dig a hole and die somewhere. I don't think a lot of Sri Lankan dads are this
comfortable.
progressive in the way they approach dadding. You know? It's like, no, I can't deal with that situation. Like, let a grandmother or an
But you
aunt
know, it
explain
works the
those
same
things to
way
you.
when you're bringing up a son, because
Yeah.
okay, yes, we have
Puberty, for
puberty.
instance.
It's the hardest one,
It's
yeah.
hard because, like, now even when my son comes out with something, I'm like, you know, I've actually, I was very subtle. When he was about 8, I remember I bought him a book about puberty and things that you should watch out for, like with, you know, little cartoon pictures, and kept it on his bedside. And eventually it was covered by like sports shoes and God knows what. But eventually he was like, Mom, why did you leave that? I'm like, no, it's, you know, you can learn about the changes that go on. He looked at me, he's like, you are just being ridiculous. But I was like, look, I don't know how to, and I was very honest with him. I said, look, there are certain things about what's going on with you that I won't understand, and I want you to, be comfortable enough to bring it up with me if something happens. So, but of course, he's thoroughly embarrassed most of the time. But I like being a single parent in a way because, you get to share all those. You create that bond between your child and him being an only child. It's easier, I suppose. Like, you get to share those milestones with them, and it's like your own personal little secret. And you guys are each other's conspirator almost. And it's, I think, being a single parent has made me be a better person in general.
What about the externals, like the Archies and the Sias and the aunties and the uncles who all have an opinion of what your life should be like right now?
You have well-meaning aunties who will say, you have a son, you must think about him. He needs a man growing up. I'm like, how do you know I don't have a man now? And then auntie shuts up.
Oh, the auntie's not shutting up. Auntie's talking to somebody else for sure.
No, of course, yeah, she's
for
Googling.
Sure.
She's probably checking
like
the
calling
auntie
people.
The auntie network. But sometimes you just have to develop a thick skin to deal with it, because I think as a woman we get more questions. For a guy it's more like, it's a badge on yourself.
Is it?
That's what you think.
I think so.
What is the male perspective?
So like, but for a woman it's like, you can't be seen with another man, if you're a parent. It's like you have to die a spinster.
A lot of the articles that I read both from here and overseas was, that social expectation of how a single mother should behave and what is appropriate for a single mother's image is completely different to what a single father gets away with.
Well,
Tell us.
I agree wholeheartedly on that, and more so than from a single mother perspective. It's, I think, the society's outlook on women, and I fight for that, because it's ridiculous. You don't choose to be a single mom. You don't get into a marriage wanting to divorce, and then you're not born a woman out of choice, right? So why do you need to then be judged by your actions? From that perspective, you have to grow, in addition to what you have between your legs, a thicker skin, and tell people to bugger off.
Yeah.
I was told many a time, you have a daughter and you're a man. I was like, yeah. And because there were times when they used to, drag their teddy bears and blankets and come and sleep on my bed. So they're my children, for crying out loud, no?
Yeah, but society can be cruel about things like that.
Society is vicious, not cruel.
How did it work with the kids though? Did the kids feel like they were being torn between two parents? Who to take loyalties with? You have the thing where a lot of children of divorces.
I think they did.
Okay.
I don't think any one of them voiced it, or they don't voice it now, because the judgment was that because the primary place of residence was with me and our home, the first 2 weekends, or an agreed 2 consecutive weekends, they had to spend with mom, and the rest of the time with me. And I told my ex-wife, I said, look, I don't care what the courts have said. It's up to you to develop the relationship with the children. So if you want to take them every day, I'm fine. But school days, I'd appreciate it if they're home by about 6, so that I can see.
But didn't you feel like then that was your time being taken away?
That was all right.
Okay.
Because I don't own them.
But the thing is, that way my ex was very childish. You're lucky you have a very adult ex, to deal with. I had to deal with another child.
All men are children.
Oh no, this one is a toddler.
Came from the man, not from us. Didn't
I am
say
drinking water
anything.
and I'm telling you this. I could see my son getting a little bit, especially when he was younger. You could see the turmoil in him, like, should I go with mom? Should I take mom's side? Should I take dad's side? And he would try, even at that small age, to be so diplomatic. And it used to kill me. I'm like, don't do this. But because, like I said, I'm really good with the other grandparents. So my son goes there, so he doesn't feel like he's missing out. If they have an event, or on that side of the family, if they have a family members come down from abroad or whatever, I straight away don't even bat an eyelid. I'm like, you know what, you need to get to know that side of the family, go ahead.
When Mali comes home most often, he cries at night. So we know that. And we now understand it. We've kind of realized, okay, that's what it is. And it's okay to rock up to my bed in the middle of the night if you feel kind of left out. I've tried to give them as much freedom in thought as possible for them to decide one thing, set the parameters, and I've set the parameters. I said, look guys, whatever's happened has happened, and this is what it is. This is what divorce is, and this is, it has been said over a period of time, obviously. Now they have the choice if they want to, so go across on to the other side. And I'm leaving a lot for them to grow into, as opposed to telling them.
But I want to know what it's like to date as a single parent. Have you tried dating?
I was so traumatized, I think, that it took me a few years. But then I thought, you know, I may be a single mother, but I'm a woman too. And I put myself out there. I went on dating apps. I bugged friends. I was like, you know, help a girl out. Hello. I'm a decent person. I'm a fun-loving person. I dated, but of course, until I was like...
But how did that work with your
my son? He was totally cool about it.
So you kept him in fear. He
I
was
told
aware
him, listen,
that you were doing this.
You know, and he was like, Mom, you know, it's your life too. And of course, I waited till he was about 8, 9, so he was not like a toddler or something, and I wasn't just abandoning to the wolves and going out there. But I mean, and luckily for me, like I said, I had a good set of friends, and my mom is there, so my mom would be with him, and I would go, and I mean, if I met someone who I thought was something, there could be something more, only then I would bring him home to introduce him to my son, because I didn't want him to get completely confused. You know, you're not neglecting your child. Like, I mean, when somebody would tell me something, they'll be like, I would tell them, look, is my child fed? Yes. Is my child's school fees paid on time? Yes. Are you contributing to any of them? No. So please butt out. You know, like, do you have anything to say? Just stop saying it. Because
Anyway, culturally, I think we have this, okay, maybe in Colombo it's a little more sort of progressive in the way people think. But when it comes to dating and stuff, anyway, romance is not something that we talk about in this culture, right?
That's right?
Even between husband and wife, it's like this whole, okay, so once you've had the child, that's it. Sex is over, romance is over. You just go into these roles of, you know,
and you
father
forget.
and mother.
You need to know who you were before you know, yes, you have kids, but who were you before?
Yeah.
So I think that's so important. As now I've realized who I was, because I lost a lot of my identity. So now I see who I am, and I mean, I am seeing somebody, and it's semi-serious for a while now, and I think it's important, because when, as the expression goes, when mama's happy, everyone's happy. You know?
Were you scared to ever get into another relationship, considering that this one that you've had since you were 10 years old and grown into, that didn't work out as planned? Did it play on you?
Initially, yes. So I said, the network of friends you have around you when you are vulnerable is so important.
For sure.
My guy friends thought, Machan, license free now.
That's such a man thing to think.
I was like, what does that even mean?
Because initially
They
you're not
live vicariously through you.
You can't. I'm tired of the time. You're taking this.
You're too tired to even think about it, because you're doing everything. It's like, what are the kids having for dinner? What are the kids, you know, what do you need to do? Oh God, there's classes tomorrow.
Yes,
There's this,
and then you've got to work,
the
and you've got to wash
schedule.
clothes, you've got to do this, and you've got to and then it takes that a decent amount of time for you to get used to it. It took me, nearly 4 years, I think. When I did mention something to her, she said, what about us?
Was she scared that somebody else was going to come and like...
Most probably is what I thought.
Take
she
over her
would have been about
mum's
14
place.
at the time, I think. Yeah. And she said, what about us? We came before anybody else. So I thought, yeah, I need to hear this. And I let it go. When you live under a rock, social life is like a luxury. So now we have electricity under the rock.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's very difficult to take yourself out of that. It's total out of your comfort zone.
That's
Even going to a restaurant, it was like,
And I didn't. So I took on cycling, I took on a whole lot of stuff. So many years down the track, I think she said, look, you can't live alone. For me, my priority are the kids.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
even if there's going to be somebody in my life, this is where it becomes harder for a woman who's going to meet a man, and you tell the woman, mate, one of the conditions is that kids come first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they look around and say, what about me then?
Yeah.
Why are you asking me out
yeah,
for?
it works both ways too, because like even for me, I would tell anybody, look, it's a package deal. I remember like a lot of guys would just approach you because it's like, hey, you have a kid. You know, it's almost like she's already done it. You know, like she's already had sex, she's already this, and so she's easy go. You know, very easy to get. And
I think that came up in our episode about divorce as well.
Yeah.
Where,
So
you know,
you
there
get-
is this tendency of men who, I'm sorry,
No,
we're not
it is
putting
true.
you into
No,
that
you don't
category,
need to. I've
but they
experienced-
think if you're divorced,
And
then
it's
you're,
very easy.
you're gagging for it, basically.
And it's
You're
like-
desperate for sex.
And
Exactly.
And it's
Exactly.
it's hilarious because, you know, or you would meet the occasional married man who is looking for something on the side, who's like, hey, she's not like she's going to talk because, you know, she's divorced, so it's all good.
How pathetic is that, isn't
And
it?
yeah, but you know,
It
it's amazing how many are out there. And I still remember, like, I went on one date with a particular person, and we were talking, and he was talking about how, you know, he has this child, and I was so excited because I thought, oh, the kids are the same age. I could, you know, in my mind, I'm picturing, oh, there's like family get-togethers. You know, this is the beginning before I got cynical. And then later he's like, oh, and I'm like, who's with your kid now? He's like, oh, he's with my wife. And I'm like, wait, what? back up.
Oh,
Like,
there are-
seriously?
there
You
are
get
plenty of people like that, and they assume just because you're a divorced woman, you're absolutely right. Oh, she must actually miss it. And you're like,
it's like, really?
really? Exactly.
What about as a divorced man? Do you find like the way women treat you, or if you attempt to date or anything like that, have you noticed any sort of difference in the way people approach you versus being a single man without children, for instance?
They're surprised to start with that you're a single dad and the kids are with you, and especially when your kids, when you have a daughter who's older, and they know that, they're a little apprehensive, I think, and some also find it quite attractive too. And you need to be able to stay in a meditative state for about 5-6 years, and, you know, bugger the rest of the life.
You need to find yourself first.
Yeah, I am in a partnership at the moment, and we have issues in terms of priorities, and it's my time. Majority of the time what is questioned is my time. And yes, I give off my time, a lot of my time to my kids.
When your kids are old enough to come to you with the discussion of marriage, if they want to get married, do you think your views on it would be colored by what your personal journeys have been?
I've always told my son, like, look, it's your choice to do what you want. Now, he has seen me through my journey, and I've been relatively open
Would
with
you be
him.
apprehensive thinking, oh, he's going to, you know, go through the same problems that you
The
have?
thing is, it's up to him, because I've told him, look, even if you have a girlfriend, the day you decide to have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever your partner is, you know, it's your journey. I can't control it. It's your life. You have to decide if that person is worthy for you. And if you're happy, then I'm happy. But you've got to make the right decision for you. I cannot influence you and say, do this, do this, do this, because I know that's what I went through, and I don't want that for him.
I think in that forum at the council, when we were talking about it, I realized the journey that we are on at the moment, and also the relationship I have with both kids. Malli is still little.
growing into his own.
Yeah, exactly. It'll take a bit of time. That's fine. And with Shalina, yeah, we've had this open discussion. She's expressed her point of view as a 17 plus 18-year-old woman, and she will figure herself out as she goes along. But I'm not going to tell her, yes, one is good over the other and the other is good over the other. We are not equipped to make that call, I don't think.
Single parents are people who have struggled a little more. I wouldn't say parents don't struggle. All parents struggle. They all have challenges, but as a single parent, you've gone through the challenges alone. So it's a testament to their sense of responsibility, their ethics, and how much capacity to love that they have. And I think you fall for, if you like someone, you like them for who they are, and that who they are comes with that package of what has helped them get there, right? So as a society, I don't think we should ever frown down on this whole thing of, oh my God, divorced, chike, single parent. I don't see why that has to be the case, but of course, kudos to both of you for bringing up the little people. I could never do it. What would your advice be as people being a single parent? What are the challenges and what do they need to be aware of?
For me, what has worked, and I think I will share this with a lot of people, is you need to develop for yourself a belief system, a system by which makes you function. Like I always tell my daughter, Matthew McConaughey stole my line when he picked up the Oscar and he spoke about exactly what I'm going to tell you now. One, you believe. You spiritually, you need to be fulfilled. So you believe. I believe in God. Second, you need to want to be amongst a group of people who make you tick, who you want to live for. For me at the moment are my children. And Matthew McConaughey says he wants to be himself 15 years or 10 years ahead or something like that when he wakes up tomorrow. For me, I want to be my better self tomorrow. So that the person who you want to chase, so I don't want to chase anybody, I want to be the better person of myself tomorrow. So that I have a very simple belief system. That guides you against all other nefarious, living vicarious thought processes and gets you to think a little straight than going all over the shop.
At least for me, what really helped is truly having a really strong network. Know who your friends are, know who is going to be in your corner, not necessarily to take your side, but could be there, because there are good days where you feel confident, everything is going great, but there are some days that you really just want to break down and cry. So I think it's so important to just reach out and not be afraid and not think I'm the only one going through this, I'm the only one, and you need to stop also feeling sorry for yourself and just be like, look, I can do this, you can do this.